Okay, so I'm writing it. At least you're great. I'm not. It's not going to be an handwritten test, please.
The true or false can be on the sample too.
No. On the question, please. On the question. And this also on the question.
Professor,
Yes.
for the short essay questions, how do you want us to answer that? Like how many lines or?
The questions are pretty straightforward. To say something like, what are the procedure, what an example of leverage ratio, right? If I say what's an example of a leverage ratio, you don't need to define it, it's an example. If I say define leverage
Very
ratio.
specific. Okay.
So usually what I did was to actually put those questions like on a half-page basis, okay? So the 8 questions, 2 questions on a particular page for the exams, okay? So I'm expecting that what you do in half a page is enough.
So you want us to provide examples?
Nope. If I did not say provide example, don't provide example. Because this is a challenge. There's going to be time crunch. So if you spend your time providing examples, you will not be able to get to others. If I want to say example, I will say provide example. If I did not say provide example, providing example does not give you more points. Okay? It's a test. Just respond to the questions. I can say the process of ABC. I can say 5 steps in XYZ. Right? As long as you write down those 5 steps, you're done. If you want to impress me with your oratory prowess or your prose, that's the integrative case analysis and the final exam.
So, Professor, do you want us to use any keywords or we can frame the answers in our own words?
The answers that I'm expecting from you, most of them are on the
Slides.
Yes. So, do you want the keywords to use from the slides?
I don't know. What do you mean
We have to
keywords?
go through the
Like,
slides.
can we write in our own words or do we have to be specific?
If it's a terminology, you should not, in strategy, it's a terminology. For instance, if you say,
Okay.
let's say, SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat. You can't use a synonym for strength, right? Right? You can't use a synonym. So, oh yeah, what's the closest word? It's either it's strength or it's not strength. So if it's unrelated diversification, you can't say diversification that are not related. No. It should. So if you say leverage ratio, it's leverage ratio, right? It's not. And again, this is how we frame it. The questions are pretty. I could say compare to like unrelated to related diversification. So if you're comparing unrelated to related diversification, there's no keywords that is there, right? Because I've already given you the keywords. If I say compare leverage ratio to what other ratio is there? Liquidity ratio. You're comparing 2 things. So basically, that's definition. If I say, for instance, let's say I say compare. I want to think whether that's on the test. Okay, let's say compare leverage ratio to activity ratio. Let's say that's I said that. What I'm expecting you to do is, this is what leverage ratio is. This is what activity ratio is. These are the differences. Right? Okay? If you provide example, that's good for you, but it doesn't do me anything. If I want you to provide example, I would say, with examples, compare. So because again, it's difficult for me. I don't want to penalize you for something that is my fault, all right? Because if I didn't say provide example, and some people provided example, and other people did not, the folks, if I give more point to people that provided example, the people that did not provide examples, that's my fault, right? I'm the one that didn't ask them for examples. But if I want you to put example, I will say with example, and of course, I'm going to be here. That's they asked me to, if I need, what's it called? What do you call that? Proctors. I said no, because I want to be here to be able to answer your questions. All right? So if you have any question, I'm not sure what this is, I'll tell you what the question is. I won't tell you what the answer is. I'm able to rephrase the question, but I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. All right? So the time is 50 minutes. Like I said this, the time is 50 minutes.
These are cumulative. I think this for
So
this for
times of the essence. The first set of questions are this one, followed by this one and this one. So if I were you, I would go to this one. This is first. I don't know. It's up to you. Because those ones they're worth 4.5 points each.
this is a financial.
I am kind of very serious about this. I'm very, very serious. I don't know whether I did that. I think I gave 2 or 3 people minus. Because again, the alternative is for me to go and report to you and myself, right? Oh, hey, last week we were doing tests, everybody was
Meeting
talking.
updated.
Just, this doesn't sound cool. I want to be the coolest.
La 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 la.
So it's just a lot easier for me to come to the person that is defaulting and say minus 15. I usually get a lot of pushback from that. Any other, please, thank you.
Is there anything like calculation?
No.
Bro, don't give him ideas.
The reason why there are no calculations is that when you're doing strategy, if you need to do calculation, you should be able to do it on your with your resources, right? Okay. So let's say you want to do quick ratio and all that, then I have to allow you to use your computers, right? Another one will allow you to use your computer. So
Makes sense.
that makes sense?
Yep.
Please.
Can see if
It's very, very versatile.
PowerPoint.
Yes, very, very versatile with those PowerPoint.
So now, for example, this, let's take this. Now, based on this PowerPoint, there are no explanations.
Yes, yeah.
Now, this
Fun.
is a very, very important question, and I want to echo it. The question is, there's a slide that says planning, organizing, motivating, controlling.
For principles.
The questions, are they only going to deal with responses that are like planning? No, I expect you to know what planning is, what organizing is, what motivating is, what controlling is. You know, it's not a lot. What I mean by so if I can ask you what's the difference between planning and organizing, for instance, for the multiple choice. So I expect you to be able to say planning is XYZ, organizing is XYZ. This is the difference. Okay? Does that make sense? And it's same with all the other. If there's a concept on this, I expect you to know it. To be able to define, because again, see, in minimum 60 to 70% of what we are doing in this class is something I guess you should have done somewhere else. Right? This POMC, you should have done something like management. This is a repetition. That's why this is a capstone class. You bring out the knowledge. So that's why I don't come to class and tell you what planning is. I am a professor of management for, I don't know, I think it's an org theory, but that's my field. So I could come and go, I could teach a whole class on PLOC. But I expect that you've done that before. But I'm not going to give you, so what I will not do, if it's not on that, is I won't give you what are the pitfalls of planning. Right? If I don't know whether there's something like that in the textbook, but if it's going to be that it's a question of the pitfall of planning, the slide will not be there. Okay? So there is no slide. So all you need to do. So the concept there, do you know what the concept is? If I give you a scenario, let's say I give you like a definition, and I'm asking you, is that planning, organizing, motivating, or controlling? You should be able to pick which one it is. Okay? Does that make sense? Thank you. That's an exceptional question. Okay, let me go to any other question. Question. I'm going to go over this again. There's going to be 40 questions on the test. 40 questions, 23 of them will be multiple choice, 9 will be true or false questions, 8 will be short essays, half page at most. This one at 2 points each, this is 4.5 points. This multi-choice should be on the Scantron, this true or false should be on the question paper. There's a short essay answers on the question paper too. If you say something to someone that is not me, if you're talking to me, if you're not, say something to someone that is not me, that's minus 15 points for the first time, minus 15 points, second time, the third time, minus 15 points, and after that, I will allow you to say whatever you want. Usually what I try to do is to make the class average 50. Sometimes I go between average or median. Because usually if there is someone that is super smart in the class, they tilt the average one way, and then you and I say, oh no. So what I try to do is to make the median like an A-. So 83. And I'm not going to be able to get your grade back to you on Thursday, but before the following Tuesday, it should be online. Okay? Again, just make sure you do your best. Just make sure you do your best. It's I'm sure I can pull up the
তার মধ্যে কোশ্চেন কাছাবে দেখছে এগুলোকে বলতে
It's a closed book
ডিফারেন্স
test.
থাকে তো সেটা কোনো ডেফিনিশন
I'm
নেই
sure I can do that. It's a closed book test.
না বাট বেসিক্যালি এখানে যেই সব জিনিসগুলো আছে এগুলো প্রত্যেকটাকে চ্যাট করে ই করতে হবে বিকজ অবভিয়াসলি মানে অ্যাট দিস পয়েন্ট মাস্টারদের এন্ডে এসে মানে উই নিড টু নো দিস থিং সো মানে হ্যাঁ উই নিড টু নো যে দিস আর দ্য 4 পয়েন্টস আমি এটার কি বেসিক একটা সামারি 1-2 লাইনে এগুলো জানতে হবে এখানে এত মেইন জিনিসটা হচ্ছে যে সবগুলো কোয়েশ্চেন হিট করতে হবে আমাদের টাইমের মধ্যে শেষ করতে হবে সো ওই যে ফাইন্যান্সের 4টা স্লাইড ওইটা হচ্ছে আমার বেশি পেছানো লাগতেছে আর প্রত্যেকটা জিনিসের
Okay, so yes,
What
that's
the
thank you for that
explanation
question. That
is.
question is very relevant. Yes, chapter 1 to 5, and the other one is going to be chapter 6 to 11. My tests are not cumulative. My test is just what we've done. You know. So 1 to 5, this one, that's why this one is 10 points. 10 points. The other one is 15 points. That's because there are more chapters. Because there are more chapters, so that one is 15 points. Again, that will be 6 to 11. So when we're done with chapter 5, we're done with chapter 5. That does not mean that when you're doing your case analysis, the concept in chapter 5 should not reflect on it. It's just that I'm not going to test it. Okay? The final exam is going to be single case analysis, take home, and all that. We'll talk about that later. Okay? But I'm trying to walk on here, and it's not.
প্যারাটা খাবো এখন ও বলবে কোনটার সাথে কোনটা ডিফারেন্স বার করে বললাম খাবো তুই বলবে লিকুইড রেশিও আর ডেভিয়েশনের মধ্যে ডিফারেন্স কি আমি দেব ওইটা ওই শেষে ম্যাথ কেন করা লাগে
No, only this, whatever is the next one. Yes.
4 দিন আছে 6 তারিখে
আর ওইগুলো
প্রত্যেক দিনে 10টা করে স্লাইডস কভার করতে হবে
I hope everybody got the midterm slide again when I sent it out. So I would direct our attention to see the slides.
মার্কেটিং বাকি আছে
পরে পরে
4 তারিখে deadline।
আজকে বা কালকের মধ্যে
Again, I'm going to go through my process the way I put up questions. When I set a question, I look for a particular a slide that contains the answer. Okay? And I'll paste it. So basically, my point is that all the I don't know, when I started doing this, I don't know, 2015, okay, I used to put fluff slides, right? So instead of sending 42 to you, I could send 70. I put some that are not relevant, just to confuse today. That was a bad idea. So now the process is different. For me, the process is I get a question, there's an answer in there, I put a slide. So my point is all the slides here contain some form of answers, all right, or some form of explanation. So please don't skip them. That's what I'm trying to say. And given that this is for that 42 slides for 5 chapters, I think that's not allowed, right? That's not allowed. But the challenge I've seen many times, oh yeah, it's not allowed. Don't let us do. Don't study a lot, but the questions will be tricky. Some of the questions, they're scenario-based questions. We'll ask you, especially when you're talking about diversification, which we just got to last class. They might give you a scenario that is a diversification. I will go back to it. So this one, okay? So for this one, you need to know some specific example. If someone gives you an example, you should be able to say, this is backward integration, all right? If you see a scenario, you should be able to say, oh, this is market development as against product development, all right? So it's very important, especially for this particular exercise. Horizontal integration and all that. Yeah, you should be able to define that. And if I ask you to differentiate it too, you should be able to do that. Market, I think so. The other thing, okay, of course, you should know all this by definition, not calculate. You won't calculate again, like someone pointed out, ask a question. You will not calculate, but you should know the definition. Like for instance, what's the difference between gross profit margin and operating profit margin? Mm-hmm. Right? What's the difference between that? Those gross profit margin and operating profit margin. So let's go operating profit margin and net profit margin. What's the difference?
Tax.
Gross profit margin is before tax and after tax.
So yeah, operating profit margin basically doesn't take account the taxes and what's it called? The taxes and I think and interest, right? You don't take advantage of the tax and the interest. And I'm sure you did something like that. You did accounting, finance. This finance. There's a strategy that you use to move. My MBA was in finance. I don't know what I was thinking. So there's a strategy that you can use to move it to take advantage of taxes and all that, depreciation and all that. So, but for the purpose of this class, it is definitional. Where I will expect you to do all this is when you are doing your integrated case analysis. For the integrated case analysis, if a ratio can be calculated, it has to be calculated.
Okay.
And don't worry, I will hammer that home a lot when we are getting close to that. If the ratio can be calculated, it has to be. If it is not, I'm going to double point, okay? But that's for the integrated case analysis, so don't be thinking, that's the one that we do at the end of the semester, not the one that you're presenting in class. So you know the differences here. Of course, this place. Now, these are all these ones that has multiple lines. Those are which question based, right? I could ask you to say, for instance, what is a marketing audit checklist? I could ask you to make a list of. Usually, if it's a lot like 8, I won't ask you to do everything. But it's 5, so I can say do 3 or do 4. So any random 3, any random 4. You don't need to explain. Just our market segmented effectively. That's it. Don't go because the reason I'm saying you don't need to explain, except I ask you to explain, is that you're going to be time constrained. And I'm serious about that. I'm emphasizing that now because it's the most popular complaint I've had as an instructor. I wish we had more time. Yeah, I know. It's hard. The funny thing about you students is that it does not matter. It doesn't matter the time you give me. If I give you 90 minutes, someone is going to ask me, I wish we had more time. If I say, oh yeah, let's do it for the whole day, it's still the same thing. That's why we designed the final exam to take home so that if you want to do it for 25 hours, it's up to you. All right? So for this one, your time constraint, I ask you to miss 3 of this. It's farm conducting and using market to start effectively. That's it. Don't explain. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. All right? Yeah. So this one, again, if it's more than 5, I won't ask you to list everything. If it's up to 5, I can ask you to say, okay, what are the steps in X, Y, Z? But it's more than 5, I just try to, I can ask for 4 or things like that. Okay? Okay, that's it. External forces. You know, these are basically ones we use for opportunities and threats, right? So those things I can ask you the questions about. Now, this falls under that question that we just addressed the other time. It's a question could be, what is the effect of fewer suppliers on the bargaining power of suppliers? Okay? Or we could flip it to say, what if there are multiple undifferentiated suppliers, many suppliers? The answer is on this flight, right? Is it? Many suppliers, a high number of suppliers. What is the effect on the bargaining power of suppliers?
Reduce.
Decreases.
Does that make the supplier power higher or lower?
Lower.
Okay, thank you. So it's just the flip. So, oh yeah, you didn't say anything about many suppliers. I did say something about few. The slide said something about few suppliers, right? Okay. Because again, every slide that is up here is about a question. It's about the question in the text. Already. Oh, okay. Another question about the text. Let's start in the beginning of the class. Let's do the class. We're going to do 15 minutes. And usually, if you come late, I'm not going to give you 15 minutes. Just join from where other people are. All right? I can wait like 5 minutes. Sometimes people are rushing. Because since we are not using the whole class time, we wait for 5 to 10 minutes. But the moment we start, you come in, say 10 minutes is best, about 40 minutes, all right? So we start, say, like 5, 10 minutes, like 4:10, 4:05, 4:04, exactly. So that people continue to sit and settle down. Yeah, I think, I'm sure I have
ঘুমায় রাতে উঠে একটা করে আরেকটা কাউকে 3টা তো আজকে 2টা করতে হলে বেশি টাইম লাগবে।
সকলের আইডিটা
এটা করবো কাজ কালকে শেষ করবো করে হচ্ছে বাসায় এসে বা
ক্লাস কিছু আছে আর কি
basically combination full on strategy. কিছু কিছু জিনিস we know, কিছু যেহেতু কনসেপ্ট আছে ক্লিয়ার আছে, বেশি ইয়ে লাগবে না, আর কিছু জিনিসে বেশি টাইম লাগবে। সো যেগুলো আমরা বুঝি ওগুলো তাড়াতাড়ি let's start with clear 10 slides. Start with my I think এটা শেষ করে দেবে।
So when you bring up the ground, so at least you have a feel of what's the
হচ্ছে ইয়ে রিপোর্টিং মেশিন এগুলোতে টাইম লাগবে একটু। তো স্যাটারডে হ্যাঁ, তো স্যাটারডে সানডে মানডে আমাদের তো ক্লাস নেই, সো ওই 2 দিন হচ্ছে লাস্ট দিন হচ্ছে পুরোটাই মানে নাথিং কয়েকদিন ওয়েডনেসডে ক্লাস।
IB আছে, IB daily আছে, later presentation. IB daily presentation. IB পারবো।
IB just slides. ও মানে এক্সামের কথা, হ্যাঁ IB দিন মানে কি 13 তারিখে না?
হ্যাঁ, ওদিকে presentation। 7 তারিখের পরে বসবো।
রেজাল্টে হ্যাঁ লাস্ট ডেট তো 40
okay, let's go.
বেসিক্যালি 33 থেকে 42
So, you know how to do this, right? Let's go in and type in the game pen. It's just for you to get a feel of what the questions look like. At least the multiple choice questions. The multiple choice questions are actually the trickiest one, really. The true and false questions are very straightforward. It's just list the process of EFE. That's it. It's very straightforward. It's not as technical as you are. Because again, the test is a test of knowledge. You know what we are doing in class, so that we don't hide behind the team and say, "Oh yeah, my team did the EFE." So I could ask you to do what's the process of the CPA, what's the process of IFE, things like that. So it's not like a very technical. Let's go, people. Let's go there. The game pin. That's the game pin 49146.